The latissimus dorsi are two large muscles on your back. They are the largest muscles in the upper body, and this Latin name can be translated as the broadest muscle of the back. The latissimus dorsi connects to the upper arm at one extremity and the pelvis at the other. Between the two, it connects to the lower ribs. The muscle does not really directly connect to the pelvis. It actually attaches to the thoracolumbar fascia, which connects to the pelvis. Since the latissimus dorsi is a large muscle that attaches to the thoracolumbar fascia, it's of great interest to us. Most people keep their latissimus dorsi shortened. We can understand the effects of this if we simply imagine the muscle shrinking. Since the muscle attaches to the back and the arm, shortening will pull the arm in towards the body, narrowing the shoulders. The muscle also covers a distance from the back of the body towards the front. If we shorten the muscle in this plane, your arm will be pulled back. This is what we've been looking at already in this series, the pulling back and in of the arms that is extremely common. Because of that back and in trajectory, the upper arm is rotated, and the elbow will end up pointing back. But the other end of the latissimus dorsi is obviously affected as well. The shortening of the muscle will pull the back of the pelvis forward and up. We've looked at this too many times. This is that tilting of the back of the pelvis, which causes the iliacs to spill forward and down, and the lower sacrum to be rotated back and up. There are a couple of ways we can look at this problem. First, where is the back of your arm in relation to the back of your pelvis? Optimally, the back of the arm would be well forward of the back of the pelvis, but that's not what you'll commonly see. To start to work with this, stand a few feet from a wall facing the wall. Put one palm against the wall at shoulder height, in the way we've described before with the elbow lower than the hand. Put your other palm on the upper end of the back of your pelvis. Move the top of the back of your pelvis down and back, but make sure your other arm with the hand on the wall doesn't move backwards in space at all. Pay close attention that the upper arm does not move back during this adjustment. Once you are having success in making this movement, put both hands on the wall. Make the adjustment to the top of the back of the pelvis again, and remember to keep the back of your arms forward. This will lengthen the latissimus dorsi and might feel like quite a stretch. The next thing we can consider here is that we do not want the back of the pelvis going down to pull the ribs at the back of the armpit down. The ribs at the back of the armpit must go up in opposition to the downward movement at the back of the pelvis. These are antagonistic movements that will stretch and lengthen the back. Coordinating these movements together is absolutely crucial for making progress in lengthening your back. We must be aware that pulling the ribs at the back of the armpit up will tend to make us tilt the back of the pelvis in the way we do not want. And by the same token, rotating the top of the back of the pelvis back and down will tend to pull the ribs at the back of the armpit down. We can't let either movement win the adjustment. We need to make both movements simultaneously. That is how we will lengthen the muscle and also the fascia. The last thing we will consider on this today is that we can use the idea that we want to keep space between the back of our arms and our lower ribs, or we can also say between the back of the elbows and the lower ribs. Remember, the back of the elbow is not the tip of the elbow if your arm is correctly oriented. We can see that for most people, the back of the elbow is behind the lower ribs. To make space between them, you will need to move the elbow forward, and the lower ribs are going to have to go back. Try using this cue to maintain space between the back of the arms and the ribs when you're trying to do something, like say take a walk or carry something heavy, and see how it affects the act. Many people think of contracting a muscle as shortening the muscle, but a muscle does not have to shorten to be engaged. You can lengthen a muscle even when it contracts if you direct the bony structures that the muscle is attached to move apart during the contraction. This is called a lengthening contraction, and it's what we want to apply to the latissimus dorsi. We want to engage the muscle in its full length. While lengthening the fascia of the body is what's at the basis for our model of good posture, our muscles function in a way that is not all that different from fascia. Muscles will function better when they are lengthened as opposed to shortened, because muscles also have elastic properties. When a muscle is lengthened, it can use the inherent elastic resistance in the tissue instead of having to rely solely on the strength of the muscle. When muscles are constantly shortened, you lose range of motion because extension will come to feel impossible. Shortened muscles will also pull the bones of your body into shortened and narrowed configurations. But when we lengthen both the fascia and the muscles, there is no slackness that must be overcome to use the muscle. So you can use yourself efficiently instead of overworking your muscles and ending up fatigued and strained. In the next episode, we'll take a look at the hands. You'll find that in most posture pictures that the people have their hands curled up. Is this appropriate? Or does it appear that people's hands are suffering from the same kind of problems we've seen in the rest of the arm? Join me next episode, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the hands.